أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي ربي يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير آمين يا رب العالمين.
In this lecture, we will study the concept of zarf. So let us have an introduction to zarf. In Arabic, there are some words that indicate time or place. Such a word is called zarf in grammar terminology. Now let us study some rules of zarf. We so far stated that zarf is a word that indicates time or place. Rule number 1 for zarf is that zarf is an ism that indicates time or place. So this is very important to remember that zarf is an ism. It is an ism that indicates time or place. We now move to the second rule of zarf. The first rule of zarf was that zarf is an ism that indicates time or place. So this concludes that there should at least be two types of zarf. If zarf indicates time or place, there should at least be two types of zarf, one for time and one for place. The grammatic terminologies for these two types of zarf are zarful makan, which is zarf of place, and zarful zaman, which is the zarf of time. Once again, zarf is an ism that indicates time or place. And there are at least two types of zarf, one for time and one for place. These two types of zarf are as follows: zarful makan or zarf of place and zarful zaman or zarf of time. In order to understand the concept of zarf further, we can use some examples from the English language. Zarf is comparable to adverb in English grammar. What is an adverb? An adverb is a word that describes a verb, an adjective, or another adverb. For example, adverb can describe a verb. He went slowly. In this case, slowly is the adverb that is describing the action. He sings loudly. Loudly is the adverb that is describing the verb. In the case of an adjective can be used as very slow. So slow is the adjective and very is adding a descriptor. Adverb can also describe another adverb, such as went too quickly. To summarize, adverbs in English grammar provide context. For example, when or where something happens. Now let us look at zarf. In Arabic, we have zarf, and there are at least two types of zarf: zarf or adverb of place and zarf or adverb of time. Zarf of place is an ism that indicates the place where an action takes place. And zarf of time is an ism that indicates the time when an action takes place. So zarf of place is the ism that indicates the place where an action takes place, and zarf of time is an ism that indicates the time when an action takes place. That is how zarf has some similarities to adverb in English grammar. Once again, please note that there are additional types of zarf in Arabic grammar. For now, we will only be studying the zarf of place and the zarf of time. We will now return to our rules of zarf. The rules are as follows. Number 1, zarf is an ism that indicates when or where an action takes place. Number 2, there are at least two types of zarf: zarf of place and zarf of time. Zarf of place is an ism that indicates the place where an action takes place, and zarf of time is an ism that indicates the time when an action takes place. Now we move on to rule number 3. Since zarf is an ism, it will always have a status. We know that every ism must have a number, gender, status, and capacity. So what about the status of zarf? Zarf status will always be mansoob. That is our rule number 3, that zarf status will always be mansoob unless it is preceded by harf jar, in which case we will have to write it as majroor. But the baseline status of zarf will always be mansoob. And now we come to our fourth rule of zarf. Number one, zarf is an ism that indicates when or where an action takes place. Number two, there are at least two types of zarf of place and zarf of time. Number three, since zarf is an ism, it will always have a status, and zarf status will always be mansoob. And rule number four, zarf will mostly be used as mudaf. Now let us study some specific examples where we can study zarf further. The first example of zarf that we will study is tahta. The meaning of tahta is under. Under indicates a place. That is why tahta is an example of type of zarf, which is zarf of place. The status of tahta is mansoob, as we can clearly see here. An example from the Holy Quran in Surah number 9, ayah number 72, we see Jannatin tajri min tahtihal anharu. In this case, we see the use of tahtiha. Please note that in this case, we are not writing it as tahta, rather we are writing it as tahtiha. And the reason we are writing tahti is because of the presence of min. Min is a harf jar and it will have an effect on the ism that follows it. Tahta is an ism and when it follows min, which is a harf jar, it will become majroor. So we will not write tahtaha, but we will write tahtiha. Please also note that tahti in the case of tahtiha is mudaf. So this example meets all of the rules of zarf. Tahta is an ism, tahta is a zarf of place, tahta is mansoob, and tahta is being used as a mudaf. We will now look at some additional examples. Fawqa means over. It is a zarf of place and its status is mansoob. Amama means in front of. This is also a zarf of place and the status is mansoob. Khalfa means behind. The type of zarf is place and it is mansoob. Baina means between. This is also a zarf of place and it is mansoob in status. Here we will look at some examples of zarf of time. The first example that we have is al-yawma. Al-yawma is used for the meaning of today. It is a zarf of time and the status is mansoob. An example of al-yawma from the Holy Quran is in Surah number 5, ayah number 3. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "Today I have perfected your religion for you." Al-yawma is used to create the meaning of today. Ghadan, meaning tomorrow. Ghadan is an example of a zarf of time. Its status is also mansoob. An example of ghadan from the Holy Quran is in Surah number 59, ayah number 18. And let every soul consider carefully what it sends ahead for tomorrow. For tomorrow is written as lighadin. Please note that because of the presence of harf jar, we are saying lighadin, not lighadan. Originally, this was ghadan, but because of the presence of harf jar, it became ghadin. Amsi, meaning yesterday. This is also a zarf of time. And an important thing to note about amsi is that it is written and read the same way as marfu, mansoob or majroor. Qabla. Qabla means before. It is an example of zarf of time and it is mansoob. Ba'da. Ba'da means after. It is also a zarf of time and the status is mansoob. Now let us study some additional examples. Ma zahaba ilal madrasati. He did not go to school. In this jumla fi'liya, there is no indication of time. There is no indication if he did not go to school today, or if he did not go to school yesterday, or if he did not go to school 2 days ago. Ma zahaba al-yawma ilal madrasati. He did not go to school today. Because of the addition of al-yawma, please note that al-yawma is mansoob, we are now adding the zarf of time. Al-yawma creates the meaning of today. Ma zahaba al-yawma ilal madrasati. He did not go to school today. Compare this to Ma zahaba ilal madrasati, where we are only stating he did not go to school. Please also note that if we write Ma zahaba ilal madrasatil yawma, that creates the same meaning of he did not go to school today. So al yawma can come at the end of the jumla fi'liya. Al yawma can also come in the middle, but it creates the same meaning. Ma zahaba ilal madrasati yawmal jum'ati. He did not go to school on the day of Friday. Yawmal jum'ati is indicating Friday. Please note here that yawmal jum'ati is a mudaf ilay combination, and yawma is mudaf and yawma is mansoob. Yawma therefore satisfies the requirements of being zarf of time. Here we have another example. He recited Surah Al-Kahf today. Qara'a Surat Al-Kahfil yawma. Qara'a is a combination of fi'il and fa'il. Qara'a creates the meaning of he recited. Surat al-Kahfi is maf'ul and al-yawma is the zarf of time. Al-yawma is creating the meaning of today.
سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.